Welcome to the Undercovers cast. I'm Ben. As always, I'm joined by Tommy, Jenna, and Paula. And tonight, we got a very special episode. Last week, we did our all time, not really rankings, but we did our all time Bills teams. But as we gear up for the start of the regular season, we're 8 days away from rookies reporting to training camp, which is awesome. But in the meantime, we're going to go through and give our rankings on AFC teams, which should be fun. So looking forward to this.
Can't wait. It's going to be. It's like last week was a great exercise. This is a great exercise where you can just think about different teams, not just one team specifically. So I mean, just seeing how the rest of the AFC really matches up against one another, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, I think as we prepare ourselves for the season, kind of get familiar with our enemies and see how they stack up against us.
100%.
Yep, and then find out the team strengths and weaknesses as well. Like what teams are often, who has the better offense. Just a fun exercise.
Yeah, I agree, Tommy. And even Paul, like you mentioned, like the exercise, like last week we got a lot of, I mean, maybe some criticism, but just feedback from, our viewers. It was, nice to kind of get the interaction. And I mean, we're probably going to have some people, I mean, even us between the four of us, while we were going through, I mean, we had some disagreements in these rankings. So I'm sure like we're going to get a lot of feedback, maybe some not so great feedback from, not only Bills friends, but hopefully we get some opposing fans, who check in just to see our perspective, to see how their teams stack up. So I'm interested to see the reactions for sure.
Last week's reactions were fun the comments from last week were fun to read. I mean, fun to interact. I think this week is going to bring some more fun and entertainment to engage.
And I'll be honest,
100%.
I will make a concession too about last week. I didn't actually go with my board because I was looking today while I was making notes. I actually had McDermott as the second best coach, so I might. This is kind of like a retraction of my coaching selection. I can't really, change it now. But if I could, I would choose McDermott now. But this is, public apology to all the McDermott stands. I should have taken him in the draft, but next year, I guess if we'll do this again. But anyways, yeah, hopefully we get some good reactions to this though. I'm excited for it.
Me too.
Same.
You're rolling.
Yeah. So, basically just, so our viewers and the audience, kind of get an idea. We each have our own rankings. We're just going to go through team by team, go through the, brief little breakdown, why we put this team here. And at the end, we're going to give our sleeper teams and overrated team. Then we're going to do top 5 offenses and defenses. So let's kick things off. We got team number 16 in the AFC. So the worst, this is the worst team according to all of us. I had Vegas right now. And to me, I just think with the coaching staff, they don't really have a ton of talent on defense, although I like Crosby and I really like the Tyree Wilson pick, but I don't know, where they're going to get any production from the secondary or the linebackers in the second level. So Jimmy G, I also am not a huge fan of. So I have Vegas at 16. Tommy?
I had the Texans at 16. Young team, still new coach. I don't know like where they're going to an improved defense, but going up against some of the top notch teams, I just don't know like where they're going to fare. So I had the Texans at 16.
I think that's fair. What about you, Paul?
Same. I had the Texans at 16. I think, just their overall team, they really don't have any help around CJ Stroud offensively. Maybe a little bit at running back with Pierce back there, but really no real.
Don't forget
support.
our guy Motor.
Yeah, they added Singletary.
Can't forget Motor. You got Laramie Tunsil in there.
All right.
It's true.
All right, continue, Paul.
But other than that, they really don't have much support for C.J. Stroud. They added Will Anderson, but when they added Will Anderson, they got rid of their next year's first overall pick. So I just think it's just a disaster in Houston.
All right, Jenna, who do you got at 16?
I have Houston as well. Young rookie quarterback, like Tommy said, first year head coach. It's just compared to the other teams, I just don't think it's the best situation. They never really had the best defensive line. They never had the best secondary. It's always been bottom of the barrel for the past couple of years. So it just right now they're working on building up on it. But I don't see how they compare to the other teams who have more way more advanced rosters.
Yeah, so speaking of Houston, they're my 15th team, and I mean I agree with you guys. They definitely have a lot of work to do, but I think they have a great foundation in place on defense between Will Anderson, and then of course their first round pick last year, Stingley. Petrie's a up and coming stud at safety. They brought in Jimmy Ward, who knows Ryan's system. They signed some other linebacker who's slipping my mind. Jerry Hughes is still there, so I mean him and Anderson's a pretty good pass rushing duo, I would say. And we just know Ryans is the type of coach to, regardless of personnel, he's going to coach them up. And I expect them to even have a top 10 defense this year. I don't think it's a crazy statement. And Stroud is supposed to have placement like Burrow. Yes, there's questions at receivers, but they brought in some nice veterans and, of course, Motor, but Dalton Schultz and Robert Woods, who I thought still had a solid year, just, was at the wrong place last year. He's not going to be the number one because they have John Mechie coming back, who, was a first-round talent. They have Nico Collins, of course, and I like the Tank Dell pick. So I think Houston has something to work with, but for now they're number 15 for me. But Tommy, who's your 15th squad?
My 15th squad was the Tennessee Titans. I don't know like who they're throwing to. I don't even really know any of their receivers on their roster.
Oh, you got Burks and some tight ends, but other than that,
other than Traylon Burks, I don't know any other receiver on their team. And
yeah, I can't even name it. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I know they still got a stud defensive front, but other than that, they got Derrick Henry, but I think they're just gonna struggle out of the gate. I don't know how they're gonna recover from. They're the teams that are stacked in the AFC, and right. I had them at 15.
What about you, Paul?
I had your 16 team. I had the Raiders at 15. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, what is he going to be? We already know his injury concerns. I mean, he probably has some sort of ankle injury every year. So defensively, they're okay. I mean, they have Crosby and they have some other good defenders, but I really don't trust what their offense can do, led by Jimmy Garoppolo. So they're 15.
Jenna?
I had the Colts.
Okay.
I just think that the rookie quarterbacks in this AFC, I just feel more comfortable putting them down at the bottom. Despite
That's fair.
Some people projecting greater success for those teams with a rookie quarterback. That's where I would put them, is 15.
I think that's fair. Now 14, I put Tennessee near the bottom. I think we can all agree they're around this spot. I have the Titans at 14. I agree, Tommy. Who are they going to throw the ball to? They lost some other pieces on defense. David Long, who went to Miami. Kevin Byard might be on the trade block. I know they kept Simmons, which was good, but don't really know who their pass rushers are. Offensive line is going to have some growing pains because they got rid of course, Taylor Lewan and their center, Ben, his name slipping my mind, but they're kind of rebuilding, but not fully rebuilding. Like, they're kind of halfway, but I don't think it's going to be pretty for them. So they're my 14. Yeah. Who's your 14,
okay, my 14th
Tommy?
team, I got the Indianapolis Colts as my 14. Rookie quarterback. They still got Jonathan Taylor. I mean, their O-line is pretty decent still. But again, I don't know where they're gonna fare like in with the top notch teams in the AFC. So I have the Colts at 14. I think they're gonna be a run first team as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I have the Colts at 14 as well. I mean, we know what with the rookie quarterback they have. We don't know what Anthony Richardson's going to be. To me, he came out of college a year early. I think he has talent to be a really, really good quarterback, but I think he just has this raw talent that needs to be unlocked. Can Indy unlock it this season? I don't know. So they're at 14 for me.
Gotcha.
Who do you got, Jenna, at 14?
I have the Tennessee Titans. I just felt that
they're not very good.
Yeah, they aren't very good, and I don't think they're going to be very good. However, in the on the bottom half of the AFC Power Rankings, I put the rookie quarterbacks at 16 and 15. The Titans have a little bit of an edge over them, just because they have a veteran at quarterback,
right,
with Ryan Tannehill, and I think he gives them a little bit more of experience in there. They were just out of the playoffs is about a year ago. About a year and a half ago, removed from the playoffs, 2 seasons. And they still have Derrick Henry, who doesn't seem like he's going to stop anytime soon. I mean, he had over 1,000 yards after breaking his foot. So he's their entire offense. He gives them a little bit of an edge over Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so at 13, and I might be a lone wolf here. This might be the lowest spot in the rankings out of anyone for this team, but I'll put a disclaimer. This team has potential. I had them up earlier, but I had to do some switching. But I'm a firm believer. I stand with my convictions because I do not believe in Mac Jones. If Bailey Zappi takes over, I think New England could be a sleeper to make the playoffs. I really do. I think Bailey Zappi has the tools you need, and I saw enough from Bailey Zappi, but Mac Jones just really isn't it. Like, you look at the games he won as a rookie. Like, he won completing 2 passes in Buffalo. The other games, it was primarily on the defense and Damian Harris having a career year where he had 15 rushing touchdowns. Like, that's not really a recipe you can duplicate to have success, especially when you're facing all these elite offenses. So they're going to need to have some semblance of an offense. I don't think they're getting any with Mac Jones. So they could have a good defense, but then again, their number one corner showed up to an airport with a loaded handgun, 2 loaded handguns. So they're down a corner. The Bills already abuse them every time we face their secondary. So I'm not a big believer in New England. I mean, I respect Bill Belichick. I think he might give the Jets and the Jets and the Dolphins a tough time, but I think we'll easy sweep for Buffalo, and I think 13 is a fair spot for them. Who's your 13th team, Tommy?
Yeah, my 13th team, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. Now they do have a little bit of firepower on offense. They have Devontae Adams, like arguably the best receiver in the league. They still have Hunter Renfrow. I mean, they drafted what do they call him, baby Gronk?
Yeah, Michael Mayer. I mean, they are
Meyer, right?
Mayer, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of baby Gronk, like
they
the
have
other baby Gronk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then arguably the best running back in the game, right, Tommy? The rushing champion last year.
Yeah, gotcha. They do have some weapons.
Yeah, I agree.
I think 13 is a good spot for them because I just don't see them maybe outpowering like the big dogs in the AFC. So
yeah,
I think 13
is
a good spot for the Raiders.
Paul, what about you? Who's at 13?
13 for me is Tennessee. Again, who knows who's going to be a quarterback? I honestly think Tannehill is going to be the quarterback, but you look at who they have. They still have Mike Vrabel at head coach. You know what he did just a few years ago when Derrick Henry went down and they still were able to get the 1 seed. I mean, I don't think you can count out a Mike Vrabel team in the AFC. They might not win 10 games. They might win 9 gritty games. I think Tennessee still has a team together. They can go out and compete with some of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, look at their division. They have one of the worst divisions in the league.
Who's your 13th team, Jenna?
I have the Raiders.
Raiders.
At this point of the ranking, I have I'm having a difficult time, but I'm settling with the Raiders at 13. Just because Josh McDaniels, he's not a very good head coach. That team was just a mess. It was like every time that it seemed like they were going to win, they would lose. Outside of the game versus the Patriots with the miracle Chandler Jones,
which Jacoby Myers just gave it to them. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And then he was given to the Raiders.
Right.
He's now on the Raiders. So I don't have very much faith in them, but I do say that over these other quarterbacks, because Jimmy Garoppolo has, in certain situations, he's been proven to win some games, with talent around him. I think that the Raiders, they have a decent enough defense, and with Devontae Adams, given that he doesn't throw a tantrum and gets like blows up their entire season because he wants out. I think he's going to give him a reliable weapon that he's like a pass catching weapon that he's really never had, Jimmy. And then Michael Mayer, we'll see how he is. They got Jacoby Myers. Josh Jacobs is one of the best running backs in the league. I think that's a decent offense to jumpstart their season.
Right. Yeah. I just don't know about their defense. I mean, and Jimmy, he had Ayuk and Debo and Kittle. Like, that's, I mean, pretty good skill positions. All right, my 12th team, which I had to reel myself in a little bit. I had them super high up earlier, and I mean, still the highest out of everyone. And I think they still have room to be where I had them in the rankings, but I'm going to leave them where they are because still they might be a little high for some people, but I got the Colts at 12, and I agree with you guys on their running scheme, and that's why I think they're going to be so good, because you saw what Shane Steichen cooked up in Philly, and now you have a way more athletic quarterback who's faster, bigger, and they got some weapons on offense and an offensive line. They play in a weak division. I mean, they were close with their division opponents last year. They split with the Jags. They got swept by the Titans, but I mean, Matt Ryan, I mean, if you go back and watch Colts games, like it was historically bad quarterback play. Like he had something like 12 fumbles in like the first 5 games or something. Like, so I believe Richardson's a perfect fit for this offense. I think there might be some growing pains, but when they get going, I think the league's going to have to watch out for this team. Tommy, who's your 12th?
12th team, I had the New England Patriots. I think overall they're better than the Raiders, Colts, Titans, and Texans. I think, like I said, if Mac Jones doesn't screw up or turn the ball over, I think they can manage the game. But again, with a loaded AFC, I don't know if they're gonna, like I said, they're not gonna do well against the top dogs in the AFC. So they do have a good running game. I will say that, and their defense is always usually good under Belichick. So I respect their defense, but overall in my rankings.
Oh, we lost Tommy.
No.
Hopefully he comes back. All right, Paul.
I never got to hear the rest of his.
All right, so we'll go back to Tommy. Paul, who's your 12th team?
My 12th team is New England. I'm not. So you, for some reason, you can't discount a Belichick run team. I mean, he always has a good defense. The issue is going to be Mac Jones. What is Mac Jones going to do this season with the 2 tight ends that they added. I believe they still have Jacoby Myers. So there's
No,
still
he went to the
No,
Raiders.
they don't.
They
don't.
signed Juju, yeah. So
Right.
they traded Jonnu Smith, they picked up Gesicki, they lost Myers, and they signed Juju.
They also lost Aguilar too
Right.
to the Ravens.
So they don't have a lot of weapons around Mac Jones, but I think their defense is going to try to win them some games. Some of the steal we could say they will steal some games for the Patriots to get them some wins this season.
What about you, Jenna? Who's your 12th team?
Sorry, I'm thinking about. I think my sister's making French fries or something, so I'm just thinking about that. But my 12th team is the New England Patriots, like Tommy and Paul said. Bill Belichick, he's always going to keep them in the running up for the AFC East in a way. I think all 4 AFC East teams, they have a chance. Hi, Tommy.
Tommy, you're back.
I'm back.
All
Sorry.
right.
I don't know what
You're good.
you're on point. Go ahead.
All right, we'll go back to you after Jenna finishes talking about the Patriots.
Ladies first.
No, that's
Yep.
fine.
A Bill Belichick defense will always keep them in the game. They obviously have question marks around the quarterback, but it's dependent on whether they get DeAndre Hopkins or not. If there's a chance, then I think it moves them up in the rankings, and he'll be a good developmental cue for Mac Jones. But and me putting them over the Raiders and the Titans is because of the defense mainly.
Tommy, you got any last thoughts on the Patriots?
Any last words?
Nope.
Right.
For the Patriots, defense, but I think they're going to get the powers of the AFC should take the.
I heard something about powerhouse.
Yeah.
It was really hard. They have the number 1 strength store.
I think that he said that they've got the number 1 hardest strength of schedule.
Actually, I think
Yeah,
the
so
Patriots do. They might. I don't know. I saw Miami
They
had
do.
like
I think
2.
they-
Maybe the
oh, wait.
Patriots. No, I think Patriots
think
are
the
like
Patriots
5 or
Hard
something.
schedule.
I think Miami's
yeah,
higher.
that's why I don't.
But they do have one of the higher ones.
I
You
don't-
are right.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be a big dog. So that's.
All right, Tommy, you're kind of having connection
Big
issues.
Sorry, man.
Come
We're gonna
Sorry, I
have
don't
to
know what's
take you
going on
out to
with
the
my
back.
Tommy,
Okay.
try leaving, disconnecting your Wi-Fi, and then reconnecting because you're kind of having some connection issues right now.
All right.
Yeah. Disconnect your Wi-Fi and then reconnect it. All right, perfect. All right. So we'll go to 11, and I guess we'll just have Tommy be last just because he's reconnecting. But I got Pittsburgh at 11. They showed some nice development at the end of the season. I think kind of like Belichick, you can kind of say the same thing about Mike Tomlin. He's never had a losing season, and you can never really count him out. And he showed it at the end of the season last year when they were 2-7 or something, or 2-8, and they won 7 of their last 8 games, which was impressive. So they won 8 out of 10 games when TJ Watt was healthy last year. They were a different team with TJ Watt. They had a really good draft. There's still some questions about Pickett. I'm not a huge fan of the receiving core. They have adequate weapons, I'd say, like their tight ends. Love Darnell Washington. Freiermuth, he's okay. Harris is all right. I mean, I like Pickens, but I'm not a fan of Johnson or Robinson, but I think they have enough to be a competitive team. So I have Pittsburgh at 11. What about you, Paul?
I have the Broncos at 11. I guess the issue is it's probably Russell Wilson. What he did last year. I mean, it definitely could have been Nathaniel Hackett, but I have questions on if Russell Wilson can lead his team. They have some weapons. They have Cortland Sutton. They have Jerry Jeudy. I mean, they have guys he can throw to. but can Russell Wilson be that guy and lead them there? They have a strong secondary. I think their secondary is really good. I mean, they have Surtain.
Sorry, I'm just showing off my Kincaid jersey.
I love it. It's awesome.
They have Surtain back there. He's going to help them defensively. So just right now, the Broncos are that just mid-pack, maybe coasting team that they could possibly go up further in the ranking. But right now, 11 is fine for me right now.
All right. What about you, Jenna? Who do you have at 11?
I had the same as Paul. I had the Broncos. I think it all, no pun intended, rides on the offense. Like, what are they going to do? Is Russell Wilson going to improve? I think they might have improved their offensive line in the offseason. I'm not really sure what they did about pass catchers, but, I mean, you got a Sean Payton now leading the team. So there's going to be a culture difference. There's maybe Russell Wilson will move his office back downstairs or something like that.
I think they're getting rid of his office, what Peyton said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what? That's good. That's good. Show him that he can't have his own office like that.
Yeah, he doesn't have one.
You got to stay with the rest of the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I everything that lies within the Broncos franchise right now
is on Russ.
It's on Russ. So the defense is very solid. They added Drew Sanders in the draft.
Drew Sanders. They signed Frank Clark. They added Riley Moss. They also drafted
Riley
Skinner.
Moss. Oh my God.
Right.
I love J.L. Skinner coming out of Boise State. He had
Frank
like a torque. Yeah, Frank Clark. Yep.
Yeah, that defense.
I mean, they're gonna have a scary defense. Like probably, an elite AFC defense at least. Probably an elite NFL defense. They had a very good defense last year. I think you're right. I think it all rides on Russ. And I mean, I just got them. I think they're a slightly better team overall than Pittsburgh. I trust Russ even at this old Russ more than I do Kenny Pickett right now. I think they got a little more weaponry. Hopefully Tommy can get back in here soon. So
I'm in.
Oh my
God! Wow, let's go. That was amazing, Tom. Timing. Wow.
I'm here.
All right, Tommy.
Okay, so
number
I was
11.
we're on our pick 11, right? Our team 11. I had the Steelers. I had the Steelers at 11.
All right, that's who I had 11 as well, Tommy.
Yeah, I feel like they do got some weapons on on offense, and they always have a with the coach, they always perform well on defense. So I think they're gonna do well, but like I said, there's still 10 powerhouses ahead of them. So I just don't know if they're gonna have enough to reach the playoffs. But I mean, I feel like 11's a good spot for the Steelers.
Yeah, I think they're like right on the edge. Like they'll be fighting. They're gonna be like week 18 again, like last year. I think it's gonna come down to the last game of the season. Maybe a Steelers versus Ravens game if they play at the end of the year, which I think they do. Like a Steelers-Ravens game to get into the playoffs. It's usually always how it goes, right?
Yeah.
It always seems it goes that way. But at 10, like, you make a great point. I think there are like 10 powerhouses. Like all 10 of these teams, you can all argue almost make maybe not a Super Bowl, but you could definitely make a playoff case for any of these 10 teams ahead of them, maybe 5 or 6 with a legit Super Bowl shot. Starting off at number 10, and this might be a very hot take. Call me a hater all you want, but they were 3-13, 5-11 2 years ago. They had a good season, but they were an onside kick recovery away from going 6-11 last year, and their season does not look as good as it did. Or what? I think the Jets went 7-9 last year, so they would have went 6-10. Sorry, 6-10. So they were an onside kick away from finishing 6-10. Look at their schedule. They only really beat 2 starting quarterbacks, Allen and Rodgers. Rodgers, hurt his thumb the week before in London. So I think they have good pieces, but their offensive line, there's huge, massive, massive question marks for me. No running back has really, outside of AP, has ever came back and been the same guy year 1 after a torn ACL. So I think there are major question marks for Brees. I don't love their weapons outside of Garrett Wilson. So I think 10's a fair spot for the Jets. Can they make the playoffs? Yes, but I don't have them as a Super Bowl favorite right now.
Okay. So we're at number 10.
Yep.
Okay, at 10 I had the Denver Broncos. I think this team could be on the cusp of a playoff push. I think Russell Wilson is going to have a bounce back year this year. I think Jerry Jeudy could break out. Like, he's one of the top notch receivers in the game. They have Cortland Sutton. I mean, they had Dalvin Cook to their offense. So I mean, I think this team, and they always have a good defense too with Denver. So, and Sean Payton he's a hell of a coach. So
I agree.
I think this Broncos team could push for a playoff spot, but I got them right at 10. I think that's a good spot for them.
Yeah, that's a fair spot for them. What about you, Paul?
At 10, I had the Steelers. I think Mike Tomlin, he had this long, active, winning season record. He's one of the best head coaches. I honestly think the Steelers. I think a lot of teams are kind of sleeping on the Steelers just a little bit because of Kenny Pickett. Well, Kenny Pickett had an all right first season. He can always improve this season. They have a really strong defensive line, and they have a really good secondary. I think they're going to be a defensive driven team. They're not going to score a lot of points, but they're going to win a lot of their games, causing turnovers, getting sacks, and that's how they're going to win their football game. So I have the Steelers at 10.
I like that, Paul.
What about you, Jenna?
I had the Steelers as well. Mike Tomlin, he's a hell of a coach. Like Paul said, that he had the active streak when he's got the active year streak of being a top above 500 team. He's last year. That's probably one of the only years he's missed the playoffs. This past season, in his tenure, and at least for like consecutive streak, and their defense is obviously going to be the one that carries them. But I think that their pass catchers are actually pretty underrated. I know Ben, he's not a big fan of Deontay Johnson. I think Deontay Johnson is I think he's solid.
If you're fine with your starter dropping like 20 passes a year. All right.
How about let's go into stats. I'm going to be a Deontay Johnson apologist.
He's got a high drop rate though, or he did.
Why is my computer being dumb?
I mean, I like George Pickens and I like Darnell Washington. Freiermuth is pretty good. Robinson is just average to below average. I'm not a huge Najee fan. Like, I think he's good. Like, I mean, he's just not like, Derrick Henry. Like, I think that's a lot of the hype coming out. Out of Bama, you got a lot of Henry comps. Like, he's solid, but like, he's not a world beater to me. Or even a Josh Jacobs. I think Jacobs is a better back, much better back. If
Yeah.
Okay. Deontay Johnson had 9 drops. Yes, that is a lot. He's number 2 in the league in drops last season.
But he had Mitch Trubisky throwing it to him, so we'll give him a pass. Did. So
and a rookie in Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Say he improves the season. I think that team will be pretty dangerous. I think it's an underrated team. They just added Joey Porter on the defense. Like, that's pretty great. It's pretty great. That secondary is going to be scarier. Yep. So how about we go to number 9?
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I had to make some. My number 9 team is going to be. Let me see. I crossed it out because I was going to change it, but I remember we had the graphics, so I'm not gonna have inaccuracies about the graph for our graphics. So at number 9, and I actually still like this because I think if you're gonna go off last year, you're gonna go off the regular season win totals, and I think there's still some question marks. Yes, They have a really good young quarterback, but their starting tackle is going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season. Their defense still has some question marks. I mean, Tennessee, was in it at the end with Josh Dobbs for a win and get in playoff game. And then the Chargers had one of the biggest collapses in playoff history. So I think the Jags, yes, I like the Ridley addition, but I think at 9 is a fair spot for Jacksonville. I think their defense still has question marks. I love Josh Allen, but Trayvon Walker, I think was yep. I love both Josh Allens, but I mean, I'm talking about the Jags Josh Allen right now, even though I love the Bills Josh Allen more, of course. But
Josh Allen.
Jags Josh Allen.
The defense, Josh Allen.
I like, the defense Josh Allen I really like, but other than that, like I feel like the defense just has a lot of questions, and their offense I think is going to be legit, but the problem is they're going to have to win every game probably by scoring, upwards of 30, 35, because I don't know if they're going to be able to get consistent stops. Like before Mahomes got hurt, he was 7 for 7 in that playoff game. Like it looked easy for him, and they didn't really make any real upgrades to that secondary. So,
right.
I mean, they didn't. What did they do in the draft? They went offense the first 3 rounds. So I think the defense has some question marks. I love their offense, but Jacksonville's my 9 for now.
Okay. At number
I just realized.
sorry,
I just realized I was looking at the wrong rankings for myself. But I think it was good. It's still good.
Okay. All right. At number 9, for me, I have the Cleveland Browns. I like what they have done. They've added some pieces on defense and Zadarius Smith. And who else did they add, Ben? Did they add another piece to their defense?
I mean, they drafted Siaki Ika. Yes. They added Dalvin Tomlinson.
That's the guy. Yes,
yep.
I really like. I mean, I know they struggled run blocking, or no, defending the run. They struggled to run big time. They were like one of the
I think that should be better though under Schwartz.
I think that'll be better for them. And they still got Deshaun Watson. I mean, I know what he does. Got to give him credit for what he can do on the field. So, I mean, one of the best quarterbacks. But then again, I mean, they have a lot of weapons too.
Yep, for I agree. So, they traded for more, drafted Tillman.
Tillman, yep. And like I said, the big question for me is still their defense. Can they stop the run? But I think at 9 they're gonna be a cusp playoff team, so they'll be right there. But I think at 9 that's a good spot for the Browns. All
right, Paul, who's your 9?
My 9 is going to be the New York Jets. I think this is an average spot for them. I think in anywhere from 6 to 10 is a good spot for the Jets because I think they're just going to be an average team. They added one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, but what did one of the better quarterbacks do last year? He kind of looked like he was on the decline. They really don't have many weapons outside of Garrett Wilson. I mean, people in New York like Alan Lazard. He's probably one hamstring injury away from not even playing this season. So I'm not a fan of the Jets. Offensively, their offensive line's a little sketchy, but my issue with the Jets is their secondary. Outside of Sauce Gardner and maybe DJ Reed, who's out there defending Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs deep balls all day. So I really don't like the Jets secondary. I think there's a lot of questions everywhere. So I think the Jets right now at 9.
All right, who's your 9, Jenna?
I have the Cleveland Browns. Like the situation with Russell Wilson and the Broncos, I think it's the same with the Cleveland Browns. They have a really good defense on paper right now. And the offense is pretty loaded with talent. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. Their wide receiver room is very stout. It's pretty deep, to be honest. And then their tight end room, they have David Njoku, who's their tight end too.
Akins from the Texans.
Yes, okay. Akins. And It all just rides on Deshaun Watson. Is he going to bounce back from next year? Is he going to bounce back from last year? I think that's one of the only question marks that they have.
Yep.
All right, and my 8th is the highest on this list, but I think the Peyton factor really makes a difference. They have, I mean, last year, if they would have averaged, I think, was it 19 points a game, they would have won 11 or 12 games, something crazy like that. So if they have a competent offense, they'll be fine. Peyton is not going to be running Wilson out of the pistol and, trying to get him to play, be a quarterback. He's not. I expect him to tailor make the offense for Wilson. They got a ton of weapons, let's be honest. Judy, Sutton, Patrick, KJ Hamler, and then they drafted Marvin Mims. Like, that's 5 pretty solid wide receivers that you can work with. So they're my number 8. Tommy, who's your 8?
Okay, I switched my 7 and 8, so I'm gonna go with I'm just gonna go with this. But I had 7 8. I mixed up, but number 8, I'm gonna go with the Jets. I had them at 7. I like the team ahead of them better. So, but okay, at the Jets at 8. I mean, have Rodgers, like Hall of Fame quarterback, MVP, former MVP. I'm not sold on their offensive line. That their offensive line scares me. If one big hit to Rodgers, that could derail their season. You know what I'm saying, Ben? But yeah, I mean, they do have a really good defense. Their secondary is pretty good. I mean, they have solid linebackers that can cover. But again, I don't see them overtaking. I see them coming in third in the division this year. To be honest with you, I have the Bills, Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots. So that's why I think that's a good spot for the Jets at 8.
My 8 is the Miami Dolphins. I think same thing with the Jets. Anywhere from 6 to 10 is a good range for the Miami Dolphins. Mm-hmm. Their issue is quarterback. Is Tua going to stay healthy? He hasn't been healthy since high school. So, I mean, he's missed games since high school. So how can you say that Tua is going to play all 17 games this season? I'm saying he's not. And they have a horrible run game back there. I mean, yeah, they have Jeff Wilson and some of the other guys, but they have Jeff Wilson and some of these other guys, but I honestly don't think they have any really good run game for Tua and the offense.
Ben, are you trying to say something?
Oh, I can't hear Ben. Can y'all hear Ben?
No, I can't.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, Ben.
I think what he's trying to say is that the Dolphins, they actually have some guys. They got Raheem Mostert. Yeah.
I can't hear you, Ben.
Savon Ahmed. They got Devon A-Chain.
Yeah.
And who knows? They might have Dalvin Cook coming in.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I think all the AFC are on Dalvin Cook. Okay, Ben. Are you there, Ben? Oh no.
Oh God.
He lost.
All right, who is your 8, Jenna?
My 8 is the New York Jets. Oh my freaking God. The New York Jets.
All right, can you hear me now?
Oh, we got you.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna say, Paul, what if they add Dalvin Cook? Jenna, but thanks for picking up my slack there. I got a call and something happened. I had to decline it, but I thought I'd do not disturb on. What the Apple sucks. Yeah, I turned on
Today's
do not
just been a
disturb,
wild
and then
day.
I got a call notification in the middle, and all right, go ahead, Jenna. You're on 8.
So yeah, the New York Jets. They have a few question marks. One being their quarterback situation. Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. Historically, he's been a very good quarterback, one of the best in NFL history. But last year was just despicable. And part of that might be because he had some pretty average to below average receivers. Allen Lazard, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs. They didn't have very much once Devontae Adams left. But the situation still kind of prevails in New York. You still got Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb,
Mhm.
and then Garrett Wilson. He's a really good receiver, but is he going to be the one to take the entire burden off of the rest of the wide receiver core?
Right.
Then you have questions with Breece Hall. Is he going to come back like he was before the ACL injury? And then their offensive line is, yeah, it was injured last season, but they don't really have very many eye-popping names on that line.
Right. I agree.
Mekhi Becton, he lost a lot of weight. How
Yeah.
is he going to look? Nobody's talked about that.
Yep.
Is he going to lose a little bit of his power? And then their secondary, their safeties, they just lost Chuck Clark. They just lost him for the season.
That's another big.
Yeah. Added in Adrian Amos. Is that safety room going to be deep enough if they have any more injuries back there? So that's why I have them at 8. There's some other teams that I would take over them right now.
Yep, I agree. So I'm just gonna pick it up a little, or I'm just gonna go through mine a little quickly, just because the Derby's in 14 minutes. We're on 7, so I got this at number 7. I agree with Paul. Tua's major question marks. Same with the offensive line. They obviously have talent, but I think there's better teams ahead of them.
Okay. At 7, I had the Ravens. I had them switch with the Jets because I had the Jets at 7 before, but I switched them. I think the Ravens are overall. I think they're going to be a better team. I mean, they got Lamar Jackson.
They finally gave him some weapons, right? OBJ, Flowers, new OC. I love it.
Yeah. I think you're going to see a more athletic Lamar. He's going to be able to throw the ball now more accurately with all these weapons, and they're still going to have a dynamic running game. You know, Lamar Jackson can absolutely run the ball, and Dobbins can run the ball. So, and their defense is still pretty good. So, I have them as a playoff team, and I think they're gonna finish as a wild card. So yeah, I got the Ravens at 7.
At 7, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think even though what they did last year, 9 wins, I think they can get 11 wins this year. I think they can make that jump. They also have Doug Peterson. They also have some really good weapons. One question mark for them is their secondary.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. I'm gonna make a little switch here, and I'm gonna put the Jaguars at 7 instead. Their offensive line is gonna take a little bit of a blow because what's his name?
Taylor.
Yeah.
No, not Taylor.
No, not
No.
Jawan Taylor.
It was Cam Robinson. Sorry.
Robinson.
Yep. I mean, it is going to take it. Well, they did lose Taylor as well, right? He did sign with the Chiefs, so they lost Taylor and Robinson. Is suspended, so that is a pretty big hit. The first 4 games, at least, right? I mean, I know they did draft Harrison, but he's a rookie.
But they got Calvin Ridley coming into that offense. We don't exactly know what chemistry is going to be between him and Lawrence. And I think their defense is a little bit more suspect than some of the other teams ahead of them. But I do think that they are a team to watch out for.
Yeah.
Especially in their weekend division.
Yeah, 100%.
And I would say, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
The reason, and I would put them a little bit lower than some of these other teams because of the division that they're in. It's weak. So how are they going to match up against these other AFC teams who are in tougher divisions?
I mean, I guess we'll see. They do face off against the Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs, so we'll get an idea of how the Jaguars match up with them, and at least in the regular season, potentially the playoffs as well, obviously, if they make it. So
Hold on. Did you just say Jaguars? It's Jaguars.
Jaguars.
It's called Jaguars.
All right, the
But I digress.
Jaguars. All right.
Look mad.
All right. So, anyways, the Jags, I'll just say the Jags. The Jags, I have, I think that's a good spot for them. I have them a little bit lower, but I mean, they are going to play they'll play the Chiefs, Bills, and Bengals as well. So you'll get to see how they match up. But now as we get into the top 6,
Yep.
I might be a little higher on Cleveland, but I just think they had a really good offseason. I think if Watson can even be 90% of what he was, he's still like 27, 28. He's not that old. They got some legit weapons between Cooper, Moore, Tillman, and Joku. Amazing running game. That defense is going to be much better with Jim Schwartz. So, I mean, I think you can, make a real argument for them being a big time sleeper.
Yep. My 6th team I had was the Miami Dolphins. I think they'll be in my prediction, I have them as a wild card team. I mean, depending on Tua, but if Tua stays healthy, I mean, they have a dynamic offense. The Waddle and Hill.
Right.
And if they add Dalvin Cook, it's just another weapon there. So. The question marks I got, I got questions still on their defensive ends. I think they got good defensive tackles. I'm not sold on Bradley Chubb as a defensive end for them. I think he's a little overrated. And I mean Jalen Ramsey. I mean, is he going to be the Jalen Ramsey of old, or is he going to take another step back? I mean, Josh Allen ripped them apart week 1 last year. So. But yeah, I still think they're the 6th team, better than the rest of my rankings. But I got them as a wild card team.
At 6, I have the Cleveland Browns. I'm in agreement with Ben here. I think they have it. I mean, not a lot of people are taking into account of the offseason they had and all the additions they added. That they have a really good secondary. They have a defensive line led by Myles Garrett. So I think if Deshaun Watson can become the Deshaun Watson of before, I think the Cleveland Browns would be a really good team.
For number 7, I have the Ravens. They made a lot of good moves in the offense or offseason, including extending Lamar Jackson. Actually, technically, wouldn't it be re-signing Lamar Jackson? Because he was a free agent and they put a exclusive franchise tag on him. But their new wide receiver room is something that they've lacked for some time. Now having Odell Beckham Jr., Rashad Bateman, and Zay Flowers. They still have Mark Andrews, who is one of the better tight ends in the league. Their defense was actually wrecking havoc on many teams last season.
Mm-hmm.
But they still have questions in the secondary. I don't know who else they had added. They did lose Chuck Clark. They have Kyle Hamilton. Maybe he'll take a step forward in his development. They don't have very much of a run game outside of what Lamar was. They had
Dobbins, Gus Edwards.
Was it Gus Edwards? They had a running back that was like pretty dynamic for part of the season.
Probably was Dobbins.
I don't know. Maybe he's the guy I'm thinking of isn't even on the team anymore. But I think that the weapons ahead of them, for the team ahead of them, are a lot better because the 2 guys in that room are both elite and could be number ones at their position. And also the defense ahead of them, I think, is a lot better. It's going to be a lot better. So the Ravens on defense, where they have one of the best linebacker tandems in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's not like extremely impressive aside from what they were able to do
right
in game. So we'll see what happens with them. But that's why I have them at 7.
I think we're on 6, but
now we're on 6.
No, didn't we go through 6? I thought Miami was 6.
I thought we were on 6.
6. Yeah, we were on.
All right.
We're
Either
on.
way,
No,
I have,
we're on 6 now. We're on 6
I just,
now.
I don't know. I just am my 6.
Unless you guys skipped over me.
Oh,
We must have skipped one, but that's okay.
I don't know. The order's now messed up. Who is your 7th?
My 7th was the Ravens.
Okay, so who? All right, so your 6 was.
I don't want to give it away.
Oh,
Fine,
okay, so all right, so just go ahead. I guess we'll go through 6.
Okay.
We only have like 4 minutes left, unless you guys want to go longer. I mean, I don't matter. It doesn't matter to me. We'll go 6. All right, Jenna, go through your 6, and then we'll go to 5. We'll reset.
Okay. So my 6 are the Dolphins. Their wide receiver room is elite. They got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, Robbie Anderson, Braxton Berrios. They have a pretty deep wide receiver room, I would say. And then the one question mark that they have on offense is actually they have multiple offensive line, Tua, and tight end, and even running back. But I just think that that offense is explosive enough to overcome all those issues. Tua usually gets the ball out fast. It's just really his injury concerns that linger.
right.
And then their defense, I think that they're going to be a very tough defense with Vic Fangio, even though Josh Allen owns Vic Fangio. In a way, their secondary is pretty phenomenal with the names that they got in there. Their defensive line, one of the best defensive tackles in the game right now in Christian Wilkins. Jalen Phillips is going to be a force. Bradley Chubb, he's average at best. But combined with Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer and Jalen Phillips, I think that's going to be a difficult defensive line to go up against. So that's who I have at 6.
Good pick.
I like it. So now we get to the top 5. We probably don't really have time to go through the top offenses and defenses, so we can just shelve that for another time. But
Okay.
at 5, I'm going Baltimore. I think the Todd Monken addition is really gonna give some juice. I mean, they finally added some legit weapons. You know, they have a great defense. They're coached well, so I think they're going to be a top contender in the AFC, and I think they'll give Cincinnati a tough fight for that division.
All right.
Let's hope so.
Yes. At 5, I got the Jaguars. I think Lawrence is going to take another step. He's got some nice weapons on offense. They do have some question marks on defense, but I like ETN as their running back. Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones. They got a squad over there on offense. So
yeah, I agree.
Put up some numbers, and I think they're gonna win. They're gonna win the AFC South. So yeah, Jaguars at 5.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm actually confusing myself right now. I think I put the Jaguars at 7. We're gonna have to rewind this tape because I think I put the Jaguars at 7, and then I started rambling on or something, or I just forgot. Because I'm looking at the list in front of me. I don't.
Yeah, I guess we may have to do a booth review after the show is over.
Yeah. So I don't even remember who I might have. I might have had the Jaguars at 7, and I might have had the the Ravens at 6, and then the Dolphins at 5 or something.
Oh,
All right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes more sense, Jenna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fun. All
That
right.
works. All right, my 5.
Mhm.
My 5 is my 5 is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. I think the addition of OBJ enhances their offense in a different way than they had it before. They actually are going to give Lamar Jackson a chance to throw the ball. They're going to give him a chance to elevate that offense a little bit more. So I think the Ravens improved the offseason with adding OBJ.
Respect that, Paul.
I basically gave it away.
Okay.
It was
Miami?
the Dolphins.
But you went through them already, right? You broke them
Yeah,
down.
I did.
So,
So we can go into top 4.
all right.
Yep.
I got the Chargers at 4, and I want to move them up higher. Like I think you can't really because even my top 3 might be a little controversial. But I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. You add Kellen Moore, a proven play caller, draft Quentin Johnston. They had a nice other draft, in terms of adding a pass rusher and a good linebacker. So I like what they did this offseason. I guess there's still questions with J.C. Jackson, but Derwin James and Asante Samuel Jr. are both very good young players. So, I mean, I like the Deion Henley pick, or Dion, however you say it. So I like what the Chargers are cooking. I guess it really just comes up to Brandon Staley at the end of the day.
I like what you're cooking too, Ben, because I had the Chargers at 4 as well. Same thing, like dynamic offense. Justin Herbert at quarterback. They got stud. They have a stud defense. I mean, they got what's his name at defensive end? The guy from UB.
Khalil Mack, and then
Khalil
Joey
Mack,
Bosa
yep.
on the other side.
On both sides. So like they're going to be a powerhouse in the AFC. I think they're going to be the top 4 team. They might even compete for the AFC Championship maybe this year. You never know.
They're my pick to make it.
You never.
I mean, if
know.
they're healthy, they might even compete for the division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that hot of a take, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because Justin Herbert, we know he can hang with Patrick Mahomes. So
yeah,
for sure.
Seen their fights before, so I got the Chargers.
They just need the defense to take a step forward.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And Joe Staley to coach a little better, and then they'll be on their way. But yeah, Chargers.
It's Brandon.
It's Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Joe Staley though. That's a nice name.
Brandon stepping up.
Well, their offensive coordinator, I think, was Joe Lombardi, so you probably just combine the names.
He's not the offensive coordinator anymore,
He
though.
was.
Oh,
It's Kellen Moore now. He was the old OC, Joe Lombardi.
Yeah. So Chargers at 4 for me. Paul, what you got?
I'm going to be in agreement with you and Ben.
Okay.
I have the Chargers. I think we broke down the Chargers enough. They just have an elite secondary. Their defensive line is really good. Justin Herbert, we all know who he is, and the chart. That's why I have the Chargers at 4.
Sweet.
What about you, Jenna?
Down to you, Jenna.
I have the Chargers too at 4.
Man.
Something that I would like Justin Herbert to evolve his game on is making runs outside the pocket.
Yeah.
Like
right.
Running
more
for
like
rushing for a first
right?
down. Yeah.
Scrambling,
I feel like
right?
he approaches the first down as he's running, but then he
And then he
slides.
just slides. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Yep.
Like, dude, you're 6'6". You're one of the tallest. You're taller than some tight ends. Why are you sliding? You're taller than linebackers. Why are you sliding?
Yep.
Like, I don't get it. He's got all the physical tools. He just needs to get some help. When his their team needs health. They need help above all things. And
kind of similar to the Bills.
Kellen Moore. Yeah. And they need Kellen Moore to not pull Kellen Moore. Dak Prescott I'm not a fan of Dak Prescott. Justin Herbert's going to be way better for him.
I agree.
In my opinion.
All right. Controversial pick for me, but I think the Bengals are below the Bills at number 3 because I think they lost some pieces, both their safeties, their secondary. I like Cam Taylor-Britt, but Awuzie is coming, I might be saying his name wrong. Awuzie, thank you. Tore his ACL, so he'll have like a similar year to White had last year, which, maybe he has a slightly better year, but I still don't expect him to be the top of his game. They got a young safety in Dax Hill. I like DJ Turner, but offensive line, it still has questions. I mean, Orlando Brown is good. I mean, how big of an upgrade is it? really good receivers, though. I just think the Bills have a slightly better overall roster. I mean, it might be a little biased, but I mean, hey, I'm a Bills fan. I'm always gonna, be a little biased towards the Bills, but I got Cincy at 3.
I agree with you, Ben. I have the Bengals at 3 as well. I think overall, I think the Bills do have a better secondary right now than the Bengals. I still for the Bengals, I mean, they do have, like I said, 3 of the best receivers in the league.
Yep,
You
a
can't
really good quarterback.
Yeah, and a really good quarterback. Like you said, they have some questions at O-line still. And their secondary, like I said, they lost both their safeties. So, like I said, Bengals, they're gonna win the North. I believe they could be right there for AFC Championship, Super Bowl. But I got them at 3 right now.
My 3, I'm going to say I have the Bills at 3.
Okay.
I think.
Boo,
I mean,
it's fine.
all the reasons for the Bengals at 3. I mean, I'm fine with if you have the Bengals at 3. I'm fine if you have the Bills at 2. Just for right now, I think the Bills just haven't done enough and they haven't been able to get to the AFC Championship game. The Bengals have. They've been able to get to the next step. The Bills haven't. The Bills did add in their to their offensive line to make their offensive line stronger. The question is who's going to play middle linebacker next to Matt Milano. They definitely do have the best secondary in the league, but I think the Bills right now, until they prove they can be in the big game, the big moment, they're at 3 for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Paul with the Bengals at 3. Or I'm sorry, the Bills at 3. This league is what have you done for me lately? And the Bills, they just haven't been able to get back to the AFC Championship since the 2020 season, 2020-2021 season. So until they can get there, or at least best the Bengals, they haven't bested this current version of the Bengals yet. So until then, I have to have them at 3. I can't be a homer, to be honest.
I respect it.
Yeah,
I know
that's fair.
that my Bills are going to be a lot better this year, and in some categories better than the Bengals, but just at this point, like, I just think it's more fair to put the Bills at 3 and the Bengals at 2.
I respect it.
See, I agree. It is a what have you done for me lately, but I think you also got to look at it objectively, which I think a lot of fans and the media aren't doing. And the players have mentioned it. Some people in the media have mentioned it. Just a unworldly year of everything going wrong for the Bills. Like I really don't think you can necessarily just put that all on the players. Like I mean they dealt with what they could. They still made it to the divisional round. Like they just had some of the craziest circumstances ever throughout that season. You look at the year before, they were a coin flip away from making it back to the AFC Championship game. I mean, and they faced arguably the other 2 best quarterbacks in the league the last 2 years, which are the last 3 years, actually the only reason why Josh hasn't made a Super Bowl. And I'm not going to put it all on Josh. We've seen, I guess that's why you might put the Bills below the Bengals, but we've seen who the Bills have been missing. And yes, you need to, play with who you have, but Micah Hyde, Von Miller, both out. We have not have a healthy Tremaine Edmonds. I think Tre'Davious White, my apologies, in the playoffs the last 2 years. I mean, the last time we saw a healthy Tre'Davious White in the playoffs, the Bills went to the AFC Championship game. So, I mean, I think that's a big boost for the defense, getting Von back. So, I mean, I'm a believer in what this team can do. I mean, not a knock against the Bengals. I just think the Bills are a better team, top to bottom, and I think they'll prove it this year. That's my opinion now.
Yeah, I agree with that take. I think when all things go to plan and the Bills the Bills starting players are healthy compared to the Bengals, even matching up offense and defense, it might be a little better.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, now that we're in the top three, I mean, I think we probably all agree at the Chiefs at 1, right? I mean, until you got to beat the champs. I mean, we almost beat them 2 years ago in the playoffs, but I mean, you got to beat the champs to be the champs. So, I mean, they got a great team. Travis Kelce, Pacheco showed out. So, so he did so well for a rookie. One of the best O-lines in football. Chris Jones, a great young secondary. They're coached very well. They're going to be a tough team. And then if they can get D-Hop, it might get scary for the league. So, I mean, there are
I don't
reports
think I'd
that
survive that.
there are reports that they're going after D-Hop, and if they get D-Hop, I just hope Brandon Bean has some type of move up his sleeve. Shout out to Kevin because he said last night in the space that if we do go for a weapon, or sorry, if the Bills do make a move, it's for a weapon. But
Offensive weapon.
if Kansas City gets D-Hop, I hope Bean has some type of counter move because like this roster, you only have Micah Hyde, Poyer, Miller, all at there. I mean, even Floyd's on a 1-year deal. So the Bills are kind of going for it, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, yes, you can't destroy your cap and give away all your draft picks, but if there's a receiver available, I would go out and make a move.
Agreed. I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely.
This is the time to do it. I think the only thing with the Chiefs, I think their secondary is a question mark. That's
I agree.
That's
And what about their defensive line even? Like, I mean, I know that Chris Jones is one of the best players in football, but if he holds out, he can miss time in camp, right? They lost Frank Clark, which is a pretty big loss. So I guess we'll see how their defense does. I mean, I still expect it to be a good defense, but
oh yeah. But they got questions like everybody.
They have questions, but I mean, they've overall have like the best quarterback in all of football, and they have maybe arguably the best coach of all of football, and what they've done. Again, we talked about this.
They're a dynasty.
About this and what this league is. What have you done for me lately? And this team has been in 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls. So I mean,
3 out of the last 4.
Sorry, thank you. 3 of the last 4. So I mean, they've been able to get there, and they've been able to win. They have 2 already, and so I think yes.
I mean, they're a dynasty. Let's be honest with them. They're what every team is striving for. You're right. Like, and again, you got to be the best. You got to beat the best, right?
True.
But I mean, we've beaten that team 2 out of the last 3 times we faced them. The last 2 times, I know, yes, it's a regular season, but I think the Bills match up well against the Chiefs.
They
do. And that's why, like, I think, and I don't want to almost rehash this, but I believe the Bengals were just a bad matchup, and I think the Bills, this offseason was largely not maybe just the Bengals, also the Jets as well, stopping the interior rush of Quinnen Williams. I think that's kind of why being kind of hammered down, getting a better interior offensive line. I think, being able to be physical and beat these teams at the line of scrimmage is going to be huge because we were built to beat the Chiefs, but we weren't built to beat the Bengals and the Jets necessarily. So I think, this offseason obviously we got to get the games played, and, we're 9 weeks away from week 1. We got, I guess, 8 episodes until week 1, and I guess when the season starts, we're gonna have to pick a new night to do this. Otherwise, we'll just do it. I mean, I guess we could do it before the games every week. I mean, we could still keep it Mondays. That's fine, actually. Yeah. But I mean, we are 9 weeks away from week 1, so we got basically 8 other shows to do until we got real football. It's awesome if you think about it.
Oh, it's going to be so amazing that I mean, just to think about it, that football is literally almost here. I mean, you got training camp in 2.5 weeks. I mean, really, when training camp starts, I know we're still in that weird lull, but I mean, we're still talking, and that's good. We still have content to put out.
We're
gonna have a lot of good content coming out in these next few weeks. Training camp, preseason is gonna be coming up. Roster cut down, roster construction. It's all gonna be coming.
Talk about like different things, fantasy, starting
lineups. Predictions,
betting lines. I mean, it's gonna be great. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Tons of overreaction. Just kidding.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna hear a lot of overreactions. We're gonna talk about injuries. We're gonna talk about everything.
I was
I mean,
kidding
as we
about
get closer
overreactions.
to
We're not
training,
ESPN in the summer.
yeah, as we get closer to training camp, hopefully, we're not going to announce it yet, but if we do get this, this particular guest who I think, everyone will like, I think he'll be a good guest, but we'll announce it once we do get our guest. We're hoping to get a guest on before Bill's training camp to preview, Bill's training camp, which starts, I mean, we're 8 days away from rookies reporting. First practice, I think like 27th, something like that.
26.
So 26, yep. So hopefully, you'll get someone on here in 2 weeks to talk about training camp. Next week, we're gonna do our NFC rankings. I guess we'll just do the same thing we did for the AFC.
Yep.
And probably even maybe we'll seem less biased because I mean we don't really have any rooting interest in the NFC really. So,
True.
but we also probably don't know the NFC as well, admittedly, right? Because we studied the Bills and the teams the Bills face. We don't really study the NFC as much as casual news or a couple games here and there. But I think it's gonna be interesting too at our NFC rankings because yes, it might be less biased, but I think we all definitely know more about the AFC for sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
We all know the
I think it's
Cardinals
gonna
are
be
the
a good
best team in the
exercise.
NFC.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
gonna be a
I'm
good
interested.
exercise to get.
I'm interested to see kind of the feedback from this exercise too, to see how people reacted to our rankings. Because I mean, I feel like we were mostly on the same page. At least the top four, we all had the same four teams. Most of us had the same top five. I mean, I think the top 6, 7 was pretty consistent at least. Mostly the top 10. I think the top 10 was almost unanimous. I said it wrong. Question wrong.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Gosh, oh my gosh.
You're good.
Yep.
It's been a long night.
Unanimous is a tough word, but okay. So now that we have,
Words are hard.
they are. But we got the home run derby coming up. So
Yep.
yeah. Anyways, on Thursday, sorry, we have the Buffalo Basement as always at 7:30, hosted by Pat and Matt.
Yep.
So tune in to Pat and Matt on Thursdays. Other than that, next week again, tune in for our NFC rankings. Thank you again for tuning in and have a good night.
Have a good night.